Hi, this is Paul. Welcome to my spoilers review of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I did a spoiler-free review of it. If you follow the link in the description box to my main channel, Trepacer, you'll see that spoiler-free review. This review is going to have spoilers in it because I wanted to talk about certain characters and stuff, and I can't talk about that without spoiling things. So let's get to it. Okay, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Okay, this is, of course, a sequel to the one that came out a few years ago, the one with Bryan Cranston. I think Elizabeth Olsen was in it, and I forgot the guy who played Silver. He was in it as well. But anyway, this is the sequel, obviously. And in this movie, it's basically that group Monarch that we saw in, I guess, the formation of it in Kong Skull Island. That group is that agency. They're responsible. They actually are tracking these creatures and stuff. And apparently, there's an eco-terrorist played by Charles Dance, who played Jonah Allen. He's like an eco-terrorist. Okay, and he basically, the movie opens with, we see Vera Farmiga, she's plays Dr. Emma Russell, and Kyle Chandler plays her husband, Mark Russell, and Billy Bobby Brown plays Madison Russell. And we see kind of like a flashback, the family together when Godzilla is, was, I think, stopping through San Francisco, and they had a son also, and that son got killed by Godzilla. Okay, so that kind of split up the family, and the father was off, Kyle Chandler's off doing his own thing, like I think filming nature stuff, filming wolves, I think. And you see the mother and the daughter, they're together and stuff. And you see that they're actually working in one of these secret Monarch bases, and we see them actually working with Mothra, okay, in her caterpillar stage. They're working with her and stuff, and then there's this big explosion, and people get killed left and right. Oh, actually, no. Wait a minute. Excuse me. Back up. You see, they're trying to communicate with Mothra, and then Mothra, kind of swats everybody to the side. Except we find out that Dr. Vera Farmiga, she has this device that I think they call it Orca, that can, if she finds the right frequency, she can actually communicate to the creatures. Okay, and that's what she does when after it smashes things about. She turns on that device and she finds the right frequency and it calms down. And it's to the point where they actually, young Madison, Billy Bobby Brown, can actually touch Mothra. And then, of course, all hell breaks loose. We see somebody just big crash into the installation, and people get shot left and right. Even a colleague that I was working with, Vera Farmiga's character, he gets shot right in front of her. And, of course, we find out that's Charles Dance's character, his eco-terrorist character, Dr. Jonah Allen. And of course, we find out, we think at first, that he kidnaps her and the daughter because they have the device, and we assume that that's, he's doing that, so he wants all the creatures basically released, okay, to basically purify the earth, let these titans, no matter how many people gets killed and stuff, because man has been evil and all this stuff with this pollution and destruction. They want all these creatures to come up and cause this destruction, and then, the earth. So basically, the world could start anew after all the destruction, after not everybody's wiped out, but most of the people are wiped out, and they figure they could start again. That's their whole philosophy. And we think, that he's holding them hostage. Vera Farmiga's character and Billy Bobby Brown, we think he's holding them hostage, but in actuality, she is part of the group. And we find out in that moment, because when they go, Monarch goes to contact Kyle Chandler's character to tell him that, listen, your wife and your daughter are kidnapped. Can you, and then he's saying, let me go with you and help, find my wife. And then they have that kind of moment where he's, he's communicating, where he's actually trying to rescue them. And then instead of her leaving with the daughter, she actually pulls back and she actually frees, because they actually take them to what is Antarctic, to this Monarch base, and they actually kill everybody there and set charges, and she basically releases Vera Farmiga's character. She blows the charge and releases King Ghidorah, okay, and he's free, okay, and then that's when we find out, when she makes this speech to Kyle Chandler and everybody else saying, listen, this is the best way to start over, man, let's ruin the earth and stuff, and man's gonna go on and continue to ruin the earth unless we let these titans free and let them cause this destruction so we can start anew. Okay, and of course everybody thinks she's crazy and out of her skull, okay, and of course her daughter, who went along with this at first, she starts to have doubts, of course, because she sees her father almost getting killed and so she starts to have doubts about it. Okay, so that's when I talk about motivation. Uh, Vera Farmiga, that motivation came, because at first we think she's, being held hostage, but then we find out actually when you have them have Charles Dance and her are having that conversation that this is what she actually contacted him for. She wanted this to happen, all this death and destruction. And she wanted it to happen because she thinks, mankind is ruining the earth and stuff, and we need to start anew, let these Titans free, and they can destroy everything, and we can start anew, which I think was insane. But she kind of sells it. Vera Farmiga, she sells it, but even though nobody else is buying it, everybody's looking at her like she's completely nuts. But I thought that was, I thought that was out of left field. That that she was actually, she wants the destruction, but and that was insane. And then, like I said, Kyle Chandler, he's trying to, he's teaming up with Monarch to try to rescue them. And then of course, like I said, once King Ghidorah gets free, then they go to all these other and they think that because the plan is for her to use that Orca device to free all the creatures one at a time. Okay, but that doesn't happen. King Ghidorah, we find out later, is not one of the Earthborn Titans. He's from space. And if you remember the movie that I think that came out in the 60s, whatever it was, where I think King of All Monsters, remember King Ghidorah was an alien and came down here. And that's what they kind of say in this movie, that he's not a Titan from this earth. He's like an alien. And he's kind of Godzilla's ancient enemy. And he's been battling him, over the years and stuff. So they actually find these paintings and stuff that that they kind of interpreted that he's been fighting King Ghidorah all his life, basically. And once Rodan gets free, Mothra comes back, and it's sort of like I said, King Ghidorah, he's like, they consider him the alpha, and he's making this sound that it's causing all these creatures, all these other Titans, to break out and basically do his bidding. And they're trying to, of course, these scientists and Kyle Chandler are trying to stop it and stop the world destruction from the world. Of course, he's trying to rescue his daughter as well. And this movie was, like I said, insane. Just the fights, in terms of the fights, I thought some of the best fights. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and you get Mothra versus Rodan. I thought that was a nice fight as well. And it was sort of Godzilla and Mothra kind of teaming up to battle King Ghidorah and Rodan and stuff. And like I said, some of the fights were like incredible. To see the actual, you could see everything. It wasn't a tease like the Gareth Edwards movie. You could actually see them actually clashing and fighting each other. And I thought it was some awesome fights. There was a point where Godzilla bit off one of King Ghidorah's heads. And then it grew back. The head grew back. I thought that was awesome. There was a great shot of King Ghidorah picking up Godzilla and taking him up and dropping him. And just King Ghidorah was a total badass in this. That creature was awesome, and Godzilla was pretty badass too as well, with the fighting and stuff, and beating the crap out of King Ghidorah. And there's a point where Godzilla gets his ass kicked by King Ghidorah, and he basically has to go. He goes underground, and they try to track him, and they basically come up with a plan that they have to recharge him because he's dying. They think he's dead, but then they kind of when Mothra starts to call to him, they figure he's still alive. They can still faintly detect him, and they actually go down in a sub, and they come up with a plan that we're gonna drop these nuclear bombs on him and restore him and give him energy, and so that way he can come back and fight King Ghidorah and stop him and stop all the creatures. And their big plan, they say, well, if Godzilla defeats King Ghidorah, then then he'll be the new alpha, and all the other creatures will bow down, which they do at the end. But I thought some of the fights were absolutely fantastic in this. And again, like I said, the human stuff, like Bradley Whitford, he was okay. He had his moments where you wanted to smack the crap out of him. Charles Dance is, every time I look at him, I see Tywin Lannister. So his motivation so much, he's supposed to be this eco-terrorist. And he was ruthless in the beginning, especially when he went to that Antarctica base, and you saw them basically slaughter everybody at that base. And that's what makes the heel turn by Vera Farmiga's character. You go, wait a minute, then she must have been okay with him basically wiping him. He killed a lot of people. Well, yeah, I guess what does she care if 20, 30 people, or however many people were in that Antarctica base? If she was going to release all the creatures anyway, that would have just killed millions upon millions. So I guess that's not, why would that bother her? If them killing, 30, 40 people or whatever it was in that Antarctica base that they could take over, if she was going to release all the creatures, and that would have killed billions of people, caused massive destruction, something that she was freaking okay with, which is crazy. Of course, she has a change of heart later, okay, because the daughter, she has a legitimate change of heart, and she steals the device and runs off and starts blasting, turning the frequency and blast, turning it on so the creatures can stop listening to King Ghidorah and causing destruction and stuff. And of course, King Ghidorah tracks her down and stuff, and then we have that great sequence where King Ghidorah is basically chasing her down, and the parents will come in and trying to, rescue her. And then, of course, Godzilla shows up and battles her to. And I thought, okay, and then we had Mothra fighting Rodan, which I thought was nice. That was a nice fight as well, and just it was a kick-ass movie. Like I said, I liked it. Again, like I said, some of the human motivations, not so much. Like I said, they had the big thing in the beginning when Monarch was trying to explain themselves to the to Congress and stuff, because Congress wanted to take over military. As they said, listen, if you can't give us a legitimate reason, we're going to take over this thing and destroy these creatures. Okay, and then of course that's when the eco-terrorists, start, kidnapped. Well, not really kidnapped, who we thought at first kidnapped, but didn't really kidnap them. But when they started unleashing these creatures, and then of course, then we find out that actually King Ghidorah was the one that really was the one behind, controlling these creatures. Okay, so like I said, it was a nice movie, a nice fun movie. Kept me interested. Again, the fights I thought were kick ass. I enjoyed it. And definitely looking forward to the sequel because they drop hints all through the movie about Skull Island and stuff. And I think they even had a thing towards the end credits saying, what is a king compared to a god? And I do have to say, they're going to have to do something to boost up King Kong to make it believable because obviously Godzilla is gigantic size. And I don't think Kong, maybe in King Skull Island, he wasn't fully grown yet. So maybe they'll just say that he was just young then and he grew up. So, and they're gonna have to give him some kind of some kind of defense against Godzilla atomic breath or something. They're gonna have to either say it doesn't affect Kong or something, maybe because atomic breath or something, or say because it's made out of lightning or something, and Kong is stronger with lightning, that's why it doesn't affect Kong. They're gonna have to come up with some plausible reason why Kong doesn't get fried and roasted when Godzilla fights him. Okay, they're gonna have to come up with that kind of plausible ability. But what I think is gonna happen is that Godzilla is gonna fight King Kong. In the beginning, they'll have that misunderstanding because as it stands, the way the movie ended, Godzilla is on the human side. Okay, and he's so, and they kind of played that out as it was going off. That Godzilla now he's friendly with the humans. So I don't know how King Kong is going to figure into this unless they, because effectively Godzilla is the good guy right now. So I don't know if they're going to try to turn Kong heel in the beginning and then have him come around, or maybe have Godzilla mind controlled or something to have him fight King Kong, and then he overcomes the mind control, and then they team up and fight another creature. And speaking of another creature, after Godzilla defeated King Ghidorah, you see him literally eating his head. You see at the very end of the movie, Charles Dance's character, he goes to this village, he said, where everything's dead and everything else, and the guy's basically selling him one of the King Ghidorah heads, okay, which we saw grow back. So I'm assuming what's going to happen is Charles Dance's character will probably be in the next movie, Godzilla versus Kong, King Kong versus Godzilla, and he's going to either bring Ghidorah back, and so then it's going to be King Kong and Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, which I think would be awesome. It would be an awesome fight. But they have to, like I said, they're going to have to come up with a plausible reason why Kong doesn't get roasted fighting Godzilla, like I said, because maybe remember the old movie, they said that lightning makes Kong stronger, and that's how he was able to fight. He did get blasted a few times when when Godzilla actually used his breath on him, he did get, got singed a couple of times, but they're gonna have to come up with a reason to say, listen, maybe that atomic breath that Godzilla has doesn't affect Kong or something. They're gonna have to come up with it, because else, like I said, all Godzilla gotta do is fry Kong, and Kong is dead, dead monkey. But so I think they're gonna have to come up with a plausible reason to say, listen, Kong is that the atomic breath of Godzilla doesn't affect Kong because maybe that atomic breath has some electricity in it, and electricity actually makes Kong stronger. So that doesn't, so you can just basically have them tussle, have them wrestle, throw each other, and punch each other and kick each other, rather than Godzilla just frying Kong and the fight is over in 2 seconds. And also, Vera Farmiga's character, she basically sacrifices herself at the end. Okay, she actually takes that Orca device, and she kind of, when they're all getting ready to leave, and the plan was for her to just to turn it on, just to distract King Ghidorah so Godzilla can take him out. But she actually drives it, she gets in a vehicle and drives playing that device, so King Ghidorah will chase her down, and then Godzilla comes back with his and fries him, literally fries him, because Godzilla has all that nuclear energy building up in him, and he just literally just fries King Ghidorah with it. And of course, the mother Vera Farmiga dies, and so she's out of the picture. Okay, and Ken Watanabe character, like I said, he sacrificed himself to restore Godzilla, so he's gone. And then Sally Hawkins, she got literally stomped on by King Ghidorah, so she's not in the movie. So I'm assuming, either they're gonna have they're gonna have to have a new cast, I guess, somewhat, and maybe they bring some of the characters back. At least Charles Dance's character, since he has the King Ghidorah head, he's gonna come back, or unless they're gonna save that for another movie. But I'm assuming what's gonna happen in Kong vs. Godzilla is that they're gonna have a misunderstanding and fight each other, battle each other. Maybe one of them's mind controlled or whatever, and then they break it, and then they team up to fight another monster. Okay, I think that's the best way to do King Kong vs. Godzilla, rather than just have them, like the old movie where they was, you saw them separately apart, and then you see them come together to fight, and you have them fighting, and then, either Godzilla wins and then King Kong wins. But I think the new movie will probably be a little different. They'll have that initial clash, and then they'll come together, team up to fight another third monster, which I think would make sense. Okay? But anyway, let me know what you think of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. What do you think of it? Let me know how do you think Kong vs. Godzilla, King Kong vs. Godzilla how it's gonna actually happen, how the story's gonna develop. Okay? And my idea about Kong, you gotta kind of either, I can buy, I could say in Kong Skull Island he was not fully grown yet. You can have him, so you can have him fully grown now, but you're gonna have to come up with a plausible reason why Godzilla's atomic breath doesn't fry Kong, okay? Because else it makes no sense. Okay. Anyway, just make him immune to it. Okay, that's why I say just make him immune to it, so that way, then you can say, okay, then you can just have a straight fight, where they're wrestling each other, punching each other, throwing rocks at each other, kicking each other. He's swatting him with his tail, Kong, beating on his chest, dragging him out, slamming him. Like I said, you got to come up with a reason to that. So make them immune to the atomic breath. I think that's the best way to do it. Anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave those comments down below. I have links to my main channel, Trepacer, in the description box. I also have a link to my social media in the description box, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please follow me on those formats. And this is Paul saying so long and take care.